In this video, we're going over what you need to do for a 100,000 mile service on this second generation Chevy Tahoe. So your Tahoe's hit 100,000 miles and you want to keep it going. Let's talk about some of the services that you should perform. The first thing we're going to talk about is spark plugs and wires. Now your spark plugs are located on the engine down here next to the exhaust manifold, and the wires are attached and they go to the coil. Now, if you check your owner's manual, it will say that you should inspect the wires and replace the spark plugs themselves. Unless the spark plug wires are less than 5 years old, it's probably a good idea to replace the wires as well. Normally when you disconnect these wires at the plug, they're gonna break and you're gonna have to replace them anyway. So do spark plugs and do the wires. While we're under the hood, let's talk about the air filter. Now it's located right here. Now you should be replacing this regularly about every 30,000 miles. But when you hit 100,000 miles, if it hasn't been replaced in a while, definitely check it and replace it. Next, we're going to talk about fluids. Now, all the fluids have different intervals for when they should be changed, whether it's based on time or mileage. The first fluid we're going to talk about is coolant. You definitely want to check the level of the coolant, and coolant isn't necessarily a 100,000 mile service. In the book, it says 150,000 miles. That's a little bit long. 5 years they recommend also. So if you haven't changed it in a while, it's probably due to be changed. Now, you don't want to just drain and fill it because that's only going to get half the fluid out, half the coolant out. Most of it's still going to be in the engine block. You want to drain and fill it a couple times, cycle it through, and then you should be good. Next fluid we're going to talk about is engine oil. Now the engine oil you should be changing about every 3,000 to 5,000 miles based on whether you have a synthetic oil or just a conventional oil. Now let's talk about transmission fluid. Now transmission fluid, you should be changing that every 50,000 miles per the book. The dipstick is right here. Definitely want to check the level every once in a while. You have to have the engine running while you check this. Wipe it off. There's a cold level and a hot level. It's best to check it at the hot level when you're checking it. Now when you go to change this, you can drop the transmission pan, take the filter out, and put a new filter on and put a new pan on, and then put the fluid in, but that only gets half the fluid out. If you do an actual flush, it's gonna be hard to do this at home, but it is not impossible. You're gonna have to take off a line and add fluid while the fluid's coming out. The next fluid, brake fluid. Definitely wanna check the level of the brake fluid and the condition. If it looks fairly dirty, you're gonna wanna flush it out. Now, I would recommend taking the cap off and using a fluid extractor that works with brake fluid. Get as much of the dirty fluid out, put clean fluid, and then bleed the brakes. And another fluid, don't overlook, power steering fluid. The level checker is right here. Just take this cap off. The dipstick is part of that. And just make sure there's enough in there, and the color looks good. It doesn't look too bad. So if the color looks really bad, you should do the same as the brake fluid. Suck out all the old fluid and fill it up with nice clean new fluid. So the fluid should be in between these two lines right there. And wash fluid. Make sure you top off your washer fluid. And it's always a good idea to check and visually inspect your belts. You have this main drive belt, make sure there's no cracking in it, make sure it looks pretty good. And then also you have the AC belt underneath. You're gonna have to put the vehicle up in the air to check that one. You wanna change the fluid in the front differential and change the fluid in the rear differential. And you wanna change the fluid in the transfer case. Now, all those make up the four-wheel drive system. You should change all those fluids every 50,000 miles. You should lubricate the front end while you're doing this. Use a grease gun. There's a grease fitting right here. That's for the inner tie rod end. There's also one on the outer tie rod end. And the lower ball joint and the upper ball joint on both sides. And sometimes there's one on the idler arm. While you're under the vehicle, do a quick visual inspection, make sure there's no leaks that you may need to address. And rotate your tires. It's important to rotate your tires. That prolongs the life of your tires so you don't have two tires wear out on one axle faster than another. It keeps the wear even throughout the vehicle. To rotate the tires on this vehicle specifically, per the owner's manual, take the two rear tires and go straight to the front. And then the front two tires, you're gonna cross them coming to the back. I hope this helped you out and keeps your vehicle running strong. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel, ring that bell, turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our videos.